A very good afternoon to everyone and a warm welcome to the Essential Conversation, NxtGen's online engagement series where we bring together industry leaders to discuss the technologies and strategies shaping the future of enterprises. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. Whether you're joining us from your office, home, or on the move, we are delighted to have you with us. So, let me just start sharing my presentation. So it's a very important topic that we have taken today. Today's topic is one that's on every enterprise leader's mind. How enterprises can deploy sovereign AI, choosing the right infrastructure, models, and architecture. Right? So as organizations accelerate their AI journeys, the question is no longer whether to adopt AI, but how to do it securely, responsibly, and with complete control over your data and governance. Before we dive in, I'd like everyone to think about one question. If your organization had to deploy an AI model tomorrow, what would be your biggest concern? Is it security, infrastructure, compliance, cost, or choosing the right model? Keep that thought with you because I believe today's discussion will answer exactly those questions. So, we have a panel of experts representing the leadership across enterprise IT, open source innovation, and AI platform development. I would request you to post your questions in the chat throughout the session, and we'll reserve time towards the end of the session to address as many of them as possible. With that, let's get started. It's my pleasure to welcome our distinguished speakers of the day. So, we have Mr. Sendil Kumar Venkateshan, who is the Chief Technology Officer associated with Shriram Capital Ltd. With over 25 years of experience, where he leads technology, strategy, infrastructure, security, and governance initiatives. He's an experienced veteran in the field, as you can see. We also have Mr. Mangesh Surve, who is the Senior Director, Solution Architect with Red Hat India and South Asia. He has been consulting crucial verticals like the BFSI, telco, ITES, manufacturing, defense, government, and pharma sector, to name a few, on cloud native and open source based digital transformation. We also have Mr. Avyaya Anasapurapu, Head Product Management for Cloud Business at NxtGen. And we also have Taman Kasibhatta, who is the AI Product Manager at NxtGen. So for today's session, we begin with our In the Spotlight. This is the first segment where we are going to have a discussion between Avyaya, Mangesh, and Sendil sir, where Sendil would be giving the industry perspective, Mangesh will be giving the OEM perspective on this particular topic, which is being moderated by Avyaya. So the discussion explores whether enterprises can truly own their AI future without control over infrastructure and models. So for this segment, I would like to give over to Avyaya to take the session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sudhir. I think that was a lovely introduction, and we're all very excited to talk about this topic that's extremely important, and it is something that affects all of us deeply. Today actually we're living in a world where AI is becoming an increasing part of our lives, right? Whether it's personal or professional, we're starting to have more and more conversations with AI. Be it sometimes more than our peers itself, right? Be it personal or in the workplace as well. As it becomes more and more important, right? It's extremely important to keep in mind our digital sovereignty and our country's sort of digital destiny as well, right? Majority of the AI that we tend to use tends to be from a closed source and a proprietary model perspective. And as these systems sort of integrate deeper into our lives, we have to keep in mind that there is a chance that we not only risk our operations, our data, but also our technology from no longer being sovereign. So it is extremely important to then talk about what we can do, as leaders in technology at InGet, to see what we can do to maintain the sovereignty when we talk about AI, and actually protect India's digital destiny. So, looking forward to a very exciting conversation. I'm very lucky to be joined by, very senior people in our industry. We've got Mr. Mangesh Surve, who's Senior Director at Red Hat, and also Mr. Sandil Kumar, who's CTO of Shriram Capital. So, yeah, looking forward to have a lovely conversation today, guys. So to get us started, right, I'll quickly put a sort of open question up in the air, right? Um, Mr. Sandil, I'd like your response first, right, when we address this question. So primarily, um, when we talk about from an industry perspective, right, what do you think is the importance of sovereign AI when we talk about it? And you can give me, sort of variables that you look at and perspectives that you see in a day-to-day conversation with you and your customers as well, right?
Yes, yes. So good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Sandil Kumar. I'm the CTO of Shriram Capital. So Shriram Capital is the holding arm of Shriram Group companies. The flagship is Shriram Finance, where India's one of the largest financial organization, followed by Shriram General Insurance, Life Insurance, Wealth Insurance, and wealth, and also with IT company called Novak Technologies. So coming to your question, I feel that Sudhir has rightly hit the nail. So the areas of concern as well as the area where we are looking is predominantly the focus is towards AI, right? Predominantly, the use of AI is inevitable for any organization. What are the business and how the business is happening? AI has to infuse and see that what way it will be helpful. Coming from the financial background, as I was telling, we are handling multiple group companies. The regulatory plays a major role for us to drive the business, especially we are with RBI, IRDAI, SEBI, all these organizations or all these regulatory, they give a certain framework, and we also ensure that how business also has to happen similarly. At the same time, security plays a major role. Like we see the data is very, very sensitive for any organization, thanks to DPDPA coming in, where we have to ensure that the consent has to be there when we use the data, especially when we are doing a cross-selling, upscaling, all those things. We need to have a control on how to protect our data, and the data should be with the right person and also with the right tool when we move towards more on cloud. So in this scenario, when I am also touching on cloud, definitely we have to see that where my data resides. So as I was telling that multiple regulatory is also with us to help to bring a strong ecosystem. We should align with that. So I feel that going forward, security plays a major role apart from costing and also on the performance related. The top will be on the security and especially the consumer and customer data which we are holding has to be properly stored and it has to be properly protected is what I feel. And AI is an area definitely we cannot ignore because of security and compliance. But with those things, we have to ensure that security has to be taken care. So again, I would emphasize that when we do this AI, where my data is getting stored, how am I to use, and it should not be a monopoly where it should be with only with one particular hyperscaler, or it can be with a person where entire data should not be there. So I should have a scenario where it should be a hybrid environment and multi-cloud environment, where certain data, where it has to get replicated to my cloud, which is on the private cloud, or a cloud where it is predominantly in our country. So the area which our focus will be on multiple things. Maybe in the next round of questions, if you ask, I can tell that in detail.
No, perfect. I think that gives a very good insight into what, industry is looking at, right? When we talk about AI and sort of the risks that AI brings. So I think that's a perfect segue, right? You talked about the fact that it is not only, where the data is residing, but also a sort of ecosystem, right? So I think, Mr. Mangesh, from, an OEM side, you can tell us a little bit more about what more, should one look at? Not only we talk about geographical sovereignty, but how does sort of technologies and platforms sort of enable this sovereignty for AI, right?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is if anything is a black box, then you can't achieve sovereignty to begin with. And to my mind, see, there are two drivers that I see, which is kind of driving sovereignty. One is that definitely geopolitics comes in. That has been a key driver of late. But you look at the practical world. The practical world, the customers are looking at cost. What is happening is when you have these models that you access through a API, and the bill, then when it comes at the end, and when you have to foot the bill, it is quite massive, and that cost is making projects prohibitive. So I think cost is one of the drivers where, can we look at open source model, open weight models? That is one thing which is a very important thing. Second, I called out geopolitics. Thirdly, I think within our country, we have done quite well when it comes to app modernization. So look at all the population scale applications which are there in the market. One, you all also deliver on the election, right? But at the same time, there are very, very many applications, right? From our, say a mobile banking, core banking to various government services. All those applications, the country has learned how to use open source technology to deliver those applications. Majority of those applications are being delivered on open source technology. So, I think that's an area where, we have a tailwind and we should take advantage of that. And just another couple of points would be transparency. I think open source gives you, a lot of transparency. You know where the source is coming from when it comes to the code that you're using for your enterprise. And finally, again, I'll just comment back on geopolitics. I would like to kind of, you to visualize a situation where, there is a specific community that is supporting you on the open source, but, for some reason, you're not able to kind of, allowed to work with that particular country. No problems. You can have communities established in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Gurgaon, Mumbai, Pune, and you can still continue, or you can still kind of leverage communities that are working in say friendly countries, and that's how you can kind of work on to. So I think to my mind, uh, AI for sure will demand a lot of sovereign solutions, and I think open source is a solution that can give a lot of transparency to build a sovereign AI solution.
Perfect. And Mr. Sendil, are those sort of priorities you look at when we say that, cost, transparency, and, control of AI? Do you see open source as a solution to these problems? How do you see it from an industry perspective?
See, it is further inevitable for any organization to not use open sources nowhere now at all. It has to be there. It's inevitable. So earlier they were telling that, okay, open source, you can't have a control, or you can't have like that because of security reasons, all those things. we come from a highly regulated, which I was telling that we do have one app which is like a super app, which is called Shriram 1. So it is now being used for at least 22 million customers have onboarded this app. So this is predominantly which we have developed on the open source environment, but open source in the sense where it will be as an enterprise environment where we need a support, all those things. Many open source environments, they without taking a support, or if there is not an enterprise, then we as an organization will not take it forward. But however, large organizations like Red Hat, MongoDB, all those organizations, we have enterprise versions. The biggest benefit for us to have the open source is that we have a strong team which we can learn and we can get an immediate support, and then which we can deploy it. There need not be any particular constraint in handling things comparing to a proprietary. So this will be easy for us to do it. And coming again, now the focus area is more on the AI. If you see AI, many are with the open source only, where we have to do that, and we need to have a skills on that. Now we can't tell anyone who are master in a particular AI tool or a particular open source tool, which are a proprietary tool, enterprise tool. What my thing is that do as a first step, do as a POC. Second step is that put as a less critical environment, and third, try to use it from the segment where it is on the production environment, on the regular system. It's on the phased base is what we use it. The reason for us is that to ensure that we get a cost, as cost is one of the biggest concerns. So initially, any organization will get tempted, especially on the cloud. Let it be on the cloud, and also let it be on the AI. Everyone will get tempted by giving some by getting some offers for 2 months. If we use, this is the which we get as a money back from them, and after 4 months, 5 months, then we get tempted to use it, and the cost get increased, and we will be end up in paying in such a way that my budget initially is X. Earlier used to be X plus 20%. Now X is getting exhausted in 1 or 2 months' time. So we are unable to answer the management of how it is, why it is getting increased. So total observability of how the resources is being used and how we are controlling in such a way that where a particular person is using, how he is using, and if the tokens has to be like a prepaid or postpaid. So those are the areas where we have to have a strong framework and other things. But if you ask me on the open source and deploying these type of tools, 100% the organization has to focus on that. And we are having a hybrid environment where most of the things now towards open source environment, and earlier it was like 80 was a proprietary and 20 was open source. Now it is beyond 40%, which we are started using it.
Amazing. So, sir, what I'm reading is that, open source is definitely a priority for enterprise, and it's something that they cannot ignore. It gives us that control, transparency. But of course, we have to be careful about how we use it, and we have to ensure that, it is done in a manner on platforms that is, extremely well supported, and we have a sort of backing around this open source ecosystem. So, that brings me to my next section, right, which is how do we know when open source is sort of ready for production? How is open source AI enterprise ready, right? Mr. Mangesh, if I can ask you from a platform perspective, right? What are the various things we can do from a platform perspective to ensure that open source AI is not only enterprise ready, but we can be careful about how we are using it, and we take in all the best practices.
Sure. I think, see, if you look at any digital transformation journey, what is it? I mean, I'm just kind of, peeling the onion from a technology point of view. Of course, business transformation gets into the business functions and all those things. You look at top lines and all those things and bottom line, everything. But, if you were to kind of, closely look at uh, the various layers, there are applications, the applications have to interoperate. Then there are data layers, there are integration layers, and then you have a platform which kind of, will host the solutions. And sir gave a good example that they have one universal app which is catering to almost 22 million customers that he called out. That's massive, right? That cannot happen without you having a strong platform. So I would say, innovation and evolution will keep on happening. Don't let your platform slow down. And I think if you look at platforms today within the country, it has been proven enough in terms of how we could kind of leverage these platforms to support applications at scale. Now, when I look it into context from a sovereign and an AI point of view, let's kind of simulate one thing. I give you a model which you are able to run on only a specific infrastructure, but you're not able to run it on some other infrastructure. Am I not locking you? Right? But whereas if I give you a solution wherein your model will be able to kind of you'll be able to deploy it on any of the infrastructure, I think things become a bit easier for you. So I think from that point of view, platform plays a very, very critical role. So you being able to have the freedom and flexibility and the optionality to orchestrate the model on any of the infrastructure of your choice is very, very important. At the same time, any change that happens in infrastructure, let's again play one more scenario that you have certain sets of GPUs that you're using today. Tomorrow there is a new set of GPU that has come up, and because your code was not, say, open source and was proprietary, you wouldn't be able to kind of port that code which is running your entire AI solution onto this new set of accelerators or hardware or CPUs or GPUs, or rather GPUs that are coming up into the market. But if you're on open source, and if it's a enterprise grade platform, then you have the optionality to take advantage of that. So you can't stop evolution. Evolution will keep on happening. How do you kind of you know adopt it with minimum friction is what is going to take you long.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, you're right? Open source gives us that freedom to sort of not only deploy, but also where we deploy and how we do it and optimize for all of these layers, right? So I think, Mr. Sendil, one question that comes to my mind then is, there's a lot of people who might be listening to us and who'd want a perspective on, um, from an enterprise view, how do you know when it is ready for deployment, right? How do we know when the platforms we're using and the AI, especially from open source that we want to utilize, is actually ready to go into production from an enterprise perspective? What are the sort of um, keys you look at, or um, applications you would want to or be comfortable moving to open source first, right? Do you have any prioritization in that sense?
Yeah, see, one thing is that we don't want to get locked in with a particular product. We want to ensure that we for at any time, see, when scenarios are moving, you can't depend on only one company. Again, I'm quoting the Shriram one, which is a super app. We have used multiple applications inside. Like if I want to have a BBSL Bharat bill payment system where it connects to the multiple services organization to integrate with our app, like if you want to get a fuel or if you want to book a gas cylinder, you can use this, and so many APIs are there to get integrated. And we have to ensure that these apps and all, so many are there. If we have one single particular proprietary based product, then we can't even go to the next level. And second is that I need to understand where I'm using the AI, how I can take it to the next level, which you have asked about this. See, what we are doing is that we are finding out the which are the low hanging fruit for any organization to go for a AI usage. Three areas. One is that one, using AI and ensuring that the application is being modernized accordingly. Number two, on the business side, what are the AI tools which we can buy, and the current environment, how it is, how am I to deploy in such a way that my process is made simple. Third is that allow the AI usage and make my process and everything as a simple. These are the three areas which we are focusing it, and especially when I was telling us a low hanging fruit like that, everyone will feel, and we are also thinking on the making a customer friendly tool where customer can access the application and get things in a easy manner. My turnaround time for each and every process. Suppose a customer wants to buy a product, the AI should help him in such a way that what is the uh, product which will be useful for him based on his financial thing. Suppose X amount he is earning, how can AI can help with our products? What are the which are the products where he can use it? So here the AI. Second is that if I have a product and I have taken a loan from Shriram Finance, and I wanted to know what is my current balance or anything like that. Instead of going for customer care and typing multiple numbers, just with a OTP like that, I can get what and all the needed, which I can get it in a easy manner instead of using my customer care and making a fatigue thing. So these are the areas which we are focusing. At the same time, we are seeing that on the data sovereignty. How my data, wherever the data, now the data is not in the center, data is moving on the multiple edges, multiple locations. How am I to pull and how am I to see where it is? So that again, I'm telling that observability, all those things which we are focusing.
Perfect. No, I mean, as you rightly mentioned, right, AI is most usable when it's tuned to sort of the enterprise business logic, the enterprise data, and it is actually able to access the enterprise data, right?
And
So I think,
especially, I want to tell about on the KYC automation, especially
mm,
for financial companies like KYC is one of the most critical thing. And also now I wanted to ensure that the documents which I have, as everyone know that for even our personal usage, whatever, even if we give 50 GB or 500 GB, we keep storing the data, and we never used to delete, or we never used to, once we see the billing and once we ask to pay that, then we see that unwanted things, why can't we delete like that? So the huge volume of data for our organization is there, and here the DMS, the documentation, especially for the customers KYC and all, no, the focus area is very large. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point, right? I think Mangesar, if you can, touch on the fact that how does open source actually help us utilize the enterprise data, right? How does the open source enable us to, or open source AI models and the models we deploy closer to our data? How does this actually benefit and help us utilize this enterprise data more efficiently also?
Sure. So I think a couple of points. One is, maybe I'll just touch upon use cases. Generally, my advice on use cases is that, start where it creates a differentiator. And if you're asking me as to how does open source basically, help accelerate AI adoption, I think today open source or open weight models are as good as the frontal models which are there in the market. You do the analysis, there's not much of a gap. Now what's the difference between the both? Of course, and sir also called out, tokens are called out. Why do I pay so much, right? I think over there, then you be able to kind of deploy this open source models with the platform which is there. And especially if I can talk about Red Hat, so Red Hat has the enterprise AI solution, which is again a hybrid solution, a multi-cloud solution, which essentially allows you to deploy any of the models. And we go a step ahead. For all these open weight models, we have curated them, compressed them, and done the security hardening on it so that enterprises can quickly deploy this on their setups. And apart from that, fortunately, for Red Hat in the market, during the app modernization era, by default, majority of the government organizations, they have been using OpenShift for the application modernization from legacy monolithic to microservices based application. So that that skill set, that already existing pipelines in terms of CI/CD, DevSecOps is there is something that is to be leveraged. So there are multiple folds in which kind of open source can help leverage the data. You can also talk about like using the open source technologies that are available to build the integration pipelines as well. So something like Kafka, which is there, or multiple other things, right? From CDC solutions to various other solutions is there, which could be leveraged to build the entire enterprise architecture completely on open source. Yeah.
Amazing. So I think, I don't want to take too much of your time, but, if we had to have a quick sort of wrap up of our entire conversation, right? I think it's clear that open source and open source AI especially is sort of a driving force towards sovereignty, right? When we talk about sovereign AI. So if I could ask each of you to maybe give me a 1 minute sort of quick explanation or a quick sort of playbook on any enterprises who want to start off with AI and go into open source led AI. What would the next 12 to 18 months or initial first steps look like? If Sendil sir, I could ask you from an industry perspective and Mangesh sir from an OEM perspective, I think that would be a great learning for our viewers.
Yeah, well, from my side, no, the biggest uh, area where the focus should be there is that no, the senior as well as the persons who are deploying the CXO level or the seniors in the organization should encourage the team to use the open source. So how to use them is that don't give a free hand. Ensure that what are the tools. Let them come with certain tools and how it will be useful for them, and we should give us a hackathon or something similar to that. We should have a separate environment or a separate networking segment where they can use what and all the tools we want with the proper guardrails. If they start using it, they will find out various options. We should give enough time for them to do it, and at the same time, as you rightly said, there should be a playbook for the activity which they are doing it and how it has to be deployed. And you see that a proper support is made, like how the proper product or a procedure which we are doing, we should have a strong partner also. So the partner, we should identify a strong partner, what is their existence, how are the skills. Many times, the persons who we have in the organization has a certain limitations on the skills, or they will be focusing only on certain tools which are there installed. They try to use predominantly the same tools. Instead, we should tell them to have a different tools which where we have a flexibility, where we, instead of depending on a single person, we can have a multiple tools, so that we have a competition in getting a better pricing. All those things which we have to do. So we have to encourage them to explore and make things done. Otherwise, no, the organizations will focus only a certain tool or a certain product which they will continue in such a way they are giving the latest till the time I will use the same product. It should not be there. We should create an environment where it has to be played and it has to get deployed. That's from my side.
No, amazing. That's extremely useful. I'm sure a lot of our viewers will take a lot from that. And Mangesh, from an OEM perspective.
Sure. So I think I would say build a foundation and innovate continuously on that. That is what I would recommend. Uh, Build a foundation, acquire your GPUs. Maybe you could procure it. You could host it, or if you could kind of work with someone like NextGen to kind of avail their services, platform infrastructure services. Avail it. Have an open source layer to kind of, manage that GPU and basically, have that optionality to deploy any model, especially the open weight models that are available in the market. I also kind of picked up some customers that are already working with us, yeah, and I just wanted to kind of share, which can give you an idea. Like, in the beginning also I said that, start where it creates a differentiator. And here are some of the customers. So the largest bank, they went ahead with enterprise-wide sovereign AI. And the reason over there was that they wanted, like, sir said, give options to the, various departments or users in the company and have the guardrails in place. So they decided to have the guardrails, in place and create their own model as a service, GPU as a service for internal consumption. So that is the largest bank that did. There is one tech company that also went on GPU and model as a service. There is one depository. They decided that, a fraud detection is the primary use case that they should chase. And, that is where they felt that, it creates a differentiator for them. So they started. Another bank, they again went ahead with fraud detection. There's one government organization, again, a consultant to government when it comes to technology. They went ahead with log analytics, a simple use case. Then there is a defense manufacturer from core to edge. Sir mentioned about core to edge, right? So from core to edge, they decided on one unified platform, and they are delivering their AI services through one platform. At the same time, someone like the e-commerce player focused on what matters the most for them, customer experience. So they went ahead with the open source model. So I just wanted to give a flavor to you that, this is what we already are working with customers, and work is already on. And I'm sure, there is a lot more that is happening into the market. But primarily people look at what gives them a differentiating value and what gives them a option wherein they can, be in sync with the speed at which evolution is happening. So that is what is my observation from the market.
No, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that proves the point, right? I think that it's not just an idea that we talk about open source and sovereign AI, right? It is actually in production and people are moving. And, I think I'm sure today was extremely insightful, both from an enterprise and a OEM perspective to sort of know where we can utilize these technologies. So I just want to thank you both for your time. I think it was a great conversation and, looking forward to maybe having this offline as well. It was a great time talking to you guys today.
Thanks, Javier. Thanks, NxtGen, for giving this opportunity. And NxtGen growth, I could see it is phenomenal on the sovereign cloud, and you're competing with the hyperscalers, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for the valuable perspectives that Mr. Sendil Kumar, Venkateshan, Mangesh, you all shared from both of your individual respective industries. NextGen has been a flag bearer of sovereignty for quite some time now. We started off with sovereign cloud, and of late we are in the sovereign AI space. And a lot of us are novice when it comes to AI, and especially the sovereignty as a principle has been quite in the news of late, especially like Sendil sir mentioned about how geopolitics is influencing. I think Mangesh spoke about it, right? And some of the takeaways that I am taking from this conversation is how open source technologies are helping in building a foundation for a sovereign AI, the importance of observability in controlling the costs, right? Needs for stronger frameworks. Who doesn't want a free exit? So vendor lock-in issue, how it is being addressed with open source platforms, app modernizations, and then importance of a strong partner for adopting AI at scale, right? So these are some of the key takeaways that I have grasped from this conversation. And thanks a lot, everyone, once again for this conversation. Now we move on. We have keep your phones ready, everyone. We have a Mentimeter quiz now. You'll be getting to see a QR code on your screen for a question to answer. So the question says, what is your biggest barrier to deploying enterprise AI? With everyone wanting to jump into the AI bandwagon, right? How to get started? This is a question everyone is facing and trying to answer. So you need to just scan this code or go to menti.com and type this code. We'll give a minute for people to answer. I mean, I'm sure you must have encountered this question, this situation in your organizations, right? When we speak of AI, we speak of sovereignty. And what are the roadblocks? What is the biggest barrier? Is it the skills shortages? Is the cost uncertainty? Low sovereign compute availability? Well, you have NxtGen. We do have sovereign compute availability, right? Let's move on to the next segment, which is so we heard about the industry perspectives, right? Now let's hear the NxtGen's point of view on this particular topic. So I have with me Taman Kasibhatta, who is the product manager for AI business unit at NxtGen. And Taman will be giving the NxtGen's point of view, which is NxtGen POV for this particular topic. Taman, welcome to you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thanks for the brief intro, Sudhir. I'm the AI product manager at NxtGen for the AI vertical, and I take care of different AI products and services offerings from NxtGen's point of view, being full stack AI solutions that we build in a custom fashion for our customers while understanding the use case with 120 plus AI engineers. GPU as a service, a lot of different engagements with external partners is what I take care. The topic that I'm going to cover is perfectly in alignment with what spotlight session that you have already been through. Avya, Mangesh, and Senthil sir have given a lot of good insights as to data residency when it comes to AI, what models to use, what infrastructure to use. They touched upon geopolitics, open source, a lot about operational sovereignty, and a lot of different things that are very important for a sovereign AI to be residing in an enterprise context. Now, what I'm going to talk is how we steer NextGen's AI vision while keeping the sovereign principle intact, while building the entire sovereign AI stack is what I'm going to touch upon. So, Sudhir, if you can go forward, I just want to give you a brief landscape as to why it is important. Sudhir actually launched a short poll around what is the actual production blockers that are being faced by a lot of different enterprises in the market. So there is a 2024 study from NASSCOM. It's called the Enterprise Adoption Index, where it actually reviewed different industries across logistics, healthcare, retail, manufacturing, telecom, BFSI, government, and PSUs, where exactly there is enterprise adoption by sector. As you can see with the adoption index that NASSCOM has published, government, PSUs, BFSI are the fast movers when it comes to adoption of AI. As you can see, a lot of different initiatives from government's point of view. There's a India AI mission. There are a lot of different initiatives around, state data centers. AI CEO is being launched. There are a lot of different initiatives, and the central government, state governments have been pushing internally for AI adoption across policies, across citizen use cases, across overall experience of citizens in the country. So government are, the sectors, government and PSUs are the sector where it's moving fast. BFSI, like Sendil sir has touched upon, and also coming from the same industry, BFSI open source is extremely critical. Where exactly the data is residing, what kind of security layer is present when it comes to inferencing on AI, where exactly AI is applying the governance principles is what exactly is very important when it comes to BFSI sector. Likewise, there are different maturity indexes across different sectors, as you can see. The top barrier, as per their study, is infrastructure complexity. A lot of different senior managers, IT, procurement, a lot of different teams across enterprises are facing a lot of pressure from their board saying that they want to adopt AI. But here, the complexity is what kind of infrastructure is required to run such large AI models or large AI use cases. So that's complexity, increases the top barrier when it comes to production blockers. So 32% of cases that were interviewed by NASSCOM is infrastructure complexity. Second most critical thing, which India is also solving with a lot of different schemes, is AI skills shortage. You have the right talent, you have the right curriculum across engineering, but it's purely restricted to hardcore software engineering and computer science, not really focusing on domain specific curriculums like artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, applied AI. A lot of different streams are to be actually revised. That's where a lot of different enterprises are facing a problem in finding the right talent who can actually deploy AI in an enterprise context. So 22% is AI skills shortage. Low sovereign compute. A lot of different enterprises are focusing a lot on hyperscalers. It's less complex. You can just connect. You can just get a virtual machine and deploy your models in that, or you can get an API endpoint from any of your hyperscalers, whether it's AWS, Azure, GCP. Just connect it to your system and run it. So there's less sovereignty when it comes to doing in a way where hyperscalers are actually bound by the US Cloud Act, and it actually compromises the entire sovereignty principle. Use case clarity. Everyone wants to do AI, but they don't know what, where, and how to start with. So 16% of the cases are stuck with use case clarity. Cost and ROI uncertainty. If a CFO is saying, I have certain budget that I need to put in for AI, there's an uncertainty as to how much ROI they will be getting. If 100 rupees is the budget that they are allocating, will I recover my 100 rupees in a year or 3 years or 5 years? That's the uncertainty is what, is 12% is. So considering all of that, there is a mixture in the market which the study has been made. And there's another interesting study in the next slide, again conducted by NASSCOM. So if you can skip to that. Yeah. So this talks entirely about where we are standing when it comes to India's AI adoption maturity. So there are different segments or different stages that NASSCOM has named, which is explorer, enthusiast, expert, and evangelist. To make it very simple, explorer is where companies or people are actually at the very nascent or initial stage of their AI transformation journey. Some of them are stopping or conducting POCs and not really having a roadmap as to what they want to do and what production use cases that they want to build with very limited planning. Enthusiast is where they are moving a little bit ahead of POC, where they have the functional alignment, they have certain direction that they want to go forward with, they have the right budget allocated, but they haven't moved yet. Expert is where they already tried and tested out. There are a couple of use cases that have been already in production, but there is no solid value addition or a solid roadmap in terms of unifying all the dots like strategy, governance, talent, and scale. So scaling is where expert lags behind. That is where evangelist comes into picture, where evangelist has figured out everything. So they have the strategy, AI governance, talent, scale, everything bundled together. So when it comes to India, India is at 2.45. It is somewhere in the middle. And I can say that, India has the functional alignment, India has the budget, India has the requirement, but they're slowly moving from being an enthusiast to an expert where there are a couple of use cases to be deployed or going to be deployed with a certain roadmap. So there are a lot of different schemes, initiatives from the government, which are actually pushing a lot of state governments as well to adopt AI. Slowly, India as a country will be moving from being an enthusiast to an expert. So it's a very promising market. We also need to ensure that we are adopting AI across our enterprises in multiple different contexts, serving your customers, internal operational excellence, customer experience, solving your own issues. So there are much more things that you can solve and make the nation greater. So move forward, Sudhir. Yeah, the demand is moving faster than production readiness. As you can see, only 47% have multiple GenAI use cases live. 54%, again, like I've said, are struggling to hire and find the right AI professionals for their existing companies. 81% feel pressure to accelerate AI. As I've told, there is a lot of pressure from their board to adopt AI. Ensure we are AI ready company, we are an AI first company. There is a pressure, but there's an uncertainty as to what to do, where to go, and how to go about it. 80% expect greater medium-term AI compute demand. So, since naturally there is a pressure from the board to adopt AI, AI cannot run without GPUs in the background. So, there are multiple parallel processing that happens when it comes to deploying a generative AI or an agentic AI use case, where you definitely need to have your own GPU compute, whether it's private, public, or virtual private cloud. So 80% expect greater medium-term AI compute demand. And the supply is where we need to bridge the gap. And that is where NxtGen actually bridges the gap between demand and supply. We work with a lot of different OEMs to ensure that whatever is demand that is coming from our enterprises customers are catered to, and we supply the right kind of GPU accelerators for their use case. And moving forward, Mangesh sir and Senthil sir has already covered, sovereign control. There are 4 different pillars which I can see. Data, where exactly the data is residing, in what format, and where sensitive data lives, and how it is moving is extremely important when it comes to the context of AI when it comes to data. Second, what kind of models? Are they proprietary models? Are they hosted models in any other hyperscaler like your AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle, IBM Cloud? It can be anything. What can be evaluated, tuned, moved, customized according to your needs is what needs to be evaluated. Infrastructure, where exactly your AI is running, where exactly your data is hosted, what compute are you using, whether it's a compute from your hyperscaler or your own compute, or it's leased from somewhere else. That is extremely important again. And governance. What evidences show responsible behavior? Are there any guardrails in place? Is there AI model following the evaluation criteria that you have set, the SLAs that you have set for it, or the certifications or the flows that it needs to follow from a governance point of view? The sovereign control is achieved when you look after these 4 pillars, and once you secure all of this is where you are truly a sovereign AI player in the market. Sovereignty starts with bringing AI to data and not data to AI. So we work as a principle where we host a lot of different workloads of our customers in our data center. We have more than multi petabytes of data in our data center hosted with our customer data. All the data is already present in a raw format. So we tell the customers that your data is here, whether it's structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. You need to bring AI to your data to derive intelligence from the data that you have, rather than moving the data to some other external APIs and external servers where the entire sovereignty is being compromised. So enterprise data, minimize unnecessary movement is what we ensure the customers that we are talking to, to protect their entire data. Open models, we truly believe in open source models. So whatever solutions that we give when it comes to deployment of AI is purely through a private deployment of GPU cluster or through public cloud or through virtual private cloud. We ensure that there is a dedicated cluster allocated to the customer needs, depending on what size of GPU, number of GPU nodes that they require. And my team will deploy open source models that are specific to the use case that the enterprises need. It includes your large language models, vision language models, embedding model, re-ranker. There's a huge bunch of open source models across different repositories. Touch basing upon one of the good repositories from Red Hat side is Red Hat OpenShift AI, where it extremely smoothly runs on top of OpenShift, which is again a private deployment hypervisor that we generally give to our customers. Private compute. So whatever compute that we give is 100% secure, air-gapped, whether it's on premises, where in the customer premises, or truly isolated in as a virtual private cloud in our ATM panel data centers. We give the option to our customers, and customers will have the control from the infrastructure side. It is fully managed by our team, fully secure. Customer will have the entire access control, and it's cut away from any kind of US Cloud Act or any other European acts as such, because customer will have the entire control right from the base, which is the infrastructure, hypervisor, and also the applications that are sitting on the top. Managed operations, like I've mentioned, we not only deploy the customer in the customer premises in a private fashion, but also ensure that it is fully managed, ensure the security components are present, ensure that the licenses are bundled, and so that there is fully packaged solution that is given to the customers. Going forward, Sudhir. So this is how we generally look at our stack. There is a sovereign infrastructure in the bottom, which includes your GPU, compute servers, storage, network, and security layers. Platform services and on how we are serving the models on top. It can be, I would say, Red Hat OpenShift hypervisor. On top of that, there is a Red Hat OpenShift AI where you can run model as a service. You can have your guardrails as a service, model catalog. You can do a lot of different customization with a lot of tooling that is present on the platform. There's an orchestration layer for routing tools, guardrail, workflow execution. Through that, you can have a bunch of model portfolio, like I mentioned, SLM, LLM, PLM, embedding, a lot of different open weight models. Using all of that, you can build your AI use cases, whether it's a document intelligence through retrieval augmented generation, create your own domain-specific agents like finance, legal, cybersecurity. You can have your own speech agent, vision agent, document intelligence. The use cases can be a number. So how I see is there is your compute, there's your hypervisor layer, there is a platform layer to Red Hat OpenShift AI. And using OpenShift AI, you can get a bunch of different routing tools, model as a service, guardrails as a service, different things that are bundled together where we can build the entire use case for you, or you get the platform where you can securely run AI within your own premises. Moving forward. So why we use open models is that you get the entire transparency as to how to tune the model, curate the behavior, provenance, and different versions that are being launched by certain different open source repositories from Kimi or Gemma or Llama. So there are different kind of open source models. You can understand the behavior. You can tune according to the use case. There is portability. There is customization. There is your choice, and you can have the entire control of cost as well, because you own the infrastructure. You own the customizations as to how you want the AI use case to be. So the entire controls remains with you. So moving forward, this is an interesting thing where you see that open source models have matured to a stage where it is competing head-on with the closed source models. Like you've seen, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, GPT-4o, All of these, the red line or red dots that you see here are closed source models. The gap between open source and closed source models is closing and is becoming near in a way that open source models are becoming much better and much larger uh, and much competent and much performant. And the whole thing, along with customization, portability, and control, including the cost control, is what you get when it comes to using open source model. And the best part is you have the entire control of where it is running and where your AI is running, where your data is being resided. So this is the whole advantage of running that. So we offer a large flavor of different GPU accelerator. In fact, on public cloud, we use a hypervisor called Red Hat OpenStack, wherein it gives us the flexibility in a way where we can unify different heterogeneous GPU platforms. Like we are not only married to one single OEM, we also offer flavors across AMD and Intel. The reason why we could offer is because of the Red Hat OpenStack platform, where we unified all of these different accelerators. And when it comes to private deployment, we use something called as Red Hat OpenShift. So public cloud is running on OpenStack, and a private cloud customer will get an air gap deployment with Red Hat OpenShift. Moving ahead. So these are two different flavors. When we deliver a private cloud solution for our customers, customers will either get a flavor of RTX Pro 6000, which is very good when it comes to audio and video multimedia performances. It's 8 cards in one server with 96 GPU per GPU. Customers are entitled to get OpenShift licenses along with network, which is 200 gig switches as well. Likewise, if a customer wants to run large AI workloads, they can opt for H200 NVL with OpenShift AI, NVIDIA Enterprise AI Suite to run entirely about entire platform services that come bundled along with NVIDIA. And each GPU is much more performant with 141 GB of GPU memory. Going ahead. Yeah. So data platform, resilience, security, and mobility. Across all these pillars is what NxtGen gives you a lot of different managed services. We have managed object store, managed parallel file system, managed NVIDIA-based command manager, managed backup, managed DR. So there are different kinds of managed services that NxtGen offers to the customer, where the customer can focus on their core business while we ensure that the platform is up for 24/7. We monitor the entire cluster 24/7. We ensure that it is fully managed, fully controlled, so that customer need not worry at any point of time. Whatever entitlement that customer gets from Speed Cloud Supreme, which is the private cloud product, is applicable and it can be extended to all the customers. Going ahead. Sudeep. Yeah. So SASF is nothing but a standardized AI solutions framework where we use it as a guiding light for building custom full stack AI solutions for our enterprises. So it's a repeatable framework where the first stage, bespoke solution engineering, is where strategically we understand everything about what customer needs, wants, and what are the business goals, objectives that they want to achieve, where they want to head with AI. We ensure that everything is structured, documented, given in the form of a business requirements document, totally, bundled together in the first phase. 2, 3, 4, and 5 are purely on the execution front. Once we figure out where, what, and how we want to achieve in the first stage, data curation and centralization is where we unify the data, make a centralized data lake or data warehouse by unifying it, make sure that it is AI ready in a way it is vectorized, for AI to infer and give you the responses from. AI solution development is where we use open source models from all these kinds of repositories, especially Red Hat OpenShift AI, and ensure that it is inferencing from the data that is unified in the second stage. Guardrailing evaluation and validation is a very important stage where we apply output control, ensure that hate, abuse, profanity is actually filtered out, ensure that the SLAs are adhered to, it's validated against your SLAs, and it is also evaluated against the governance principles that are set for the AI agent to follow. Deploy, manage, and continuous improvement is where we not only stop our journey by building the AI use cases, but also we ensure that it is deployed on the private cluster that is given to you fully managed by us. And also there is a continuous improvement with CI/CD pipelines attached to that. So this is what we do when it comes to building full stack custom AI solutions for our customers, and it's a patent pending approach. So you can think that there are multiple input sources that you have, and it's coming from different sources like your SAP, Salesforce, or Remedy, or any kind of sources that you have, either in text, speech, and documents. That enterprise data and context is unified, vectorized, and placed in a central vector database. There's a router which understands what the customer actually needs, and with the prompts that are given to it. The router routes to the specific domain specific subagents, and it gives you actions. You can perform actions in the applications that are connected with through APIs that are connected to the actual agent. And then there are evidences, logs, dashboarding, observability that are attached to it as an evidence. So you can go ahead, Sudeep. So these are some of the examples of the use cases that you can build. Some of them are already touched upon by Sendil sir, like for BFSI, like he has mentioned, the most important use case is KYC validation with AI. Like that, you can have multiple different enterprise use cases like document intelligence, employee assistance for employee experience, sales assistant or sales co-pilots, demand forecasting, revenue forecasting, sales intelligence, action taking agents, which is nothing but agentic agents that are connected to your own applications, where you can take actions through AI only without logging in through that respective portal. So one single stack, you get the infrastructure, platform, applications, use cases that you can build. Everything under one single umbrella is what NxtGen delivers as a value to the customer. So that is pretty much it. There are different deployment options, different operating approach for each enterprise that they can choose from. First production workload, which use cases prove value and governance together, is what we need to identify. As a segue to what we discussed in the previous two different parts for this essential conversation, is a CTA which Sudhir is going to launch, where you can yourself scan and understand your path to your AI transformation journey. It's called the AI deployment pathfinder, where it's a small questionnaire where you can take it, navigate yourself as to where you're standing when it comes to AI transformation journey, and where NxtGen can help you take you to the right direction. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for patiently listening to my part of NxtGen's POE for the essential conversation. Happy to connect if you have any queries.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Tamang, for the session on NxtGen's POV on this particular topic of sovereign AI and its deployment strategies. So, people, we have this AI deployment pathfinder. If you are someone who is kind of looking out for a starting point as to how you can deploy AI in your respective organizations, feel free to scan this QR code, and you have a set of questions which you need to answer, based on which the way Taman had explained on this slide, there are three things that you'll get to know here: the deployment model, the operating approach, and the production workflow. And then that will give you a starting point, and we can probably connect back. Feel free to reach out to us. We can have a consultation on the next steps to go about, depending on the operating model that you find. So that is it from our end. If anyone has any questions, feel free to post it, or we are available at marketing@nextgen.com. Feel free to. We'll also be sending this recording and the presentation to the participants. If you have any questions, any queries, you just feel free to reply, and we can arrange a call back. So that is it from our end. Thanks a lot. Thank you everyone for joining. and looking forward to the next episode of The Essential Conversation, where enterprise leaders discuss what really matters. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.